my thoughts. I'm going to watch each movie and do my thoughts and how I feel, in my opinion, on each movie to the run up to Fast 7. Is it? I can't believe this. I've just heard the news that Paul Walker has died. Now, I just can't believe this. I've only just seen it online now. Live, as I'm recording this video. Literally, it took me 30 seconds to reach for my camera and to turn the thing on. I've just had a lovely weekend and a friend. I've just seen a friend off. To have you to be identified by your dental records. There's just something about when he died which affected me, something terrible, something wicked. It's just brought it all back to me. Presumably the summer of 2015, when Fast and Furious, if Fast and Furious gets a release. And it's now 2:15 AM UK time. So we're on Monday now here in the UK. It's early Monday morning, and now I've just turned the internet on just before I'm going to bed, and I'm just about to step into my bed, and I've just read the news. It's the fact that this is the death he had was horrible. I think it's the daughter. Poor girl. When I was 15, that was a time in my life when I needed my father terribly. It says here he's died in a car crash in California. Dies in California, car crash, BBC News 2 hours ago. And I just can't believe this. I'm in absolute shock. Okay. So what's up? It's how they affect me now. And that entrepreneur geezer who died with him, while all the cameras were there at the charity function they were attending. That's what's basically happened. And one of these they've got one of their vehicles out and thought, we'll get a free plug for the business which we're doing. They had a car business, didn't they? A remodelising business he did, and he financed it, didn't he? Co-financed it with Walker. Jeremy Clarkson made it quite clear in his review that it was very difficult to drive when fast, when going full throttle. It got very sensitive to control when it was going fast, in a nutshell. And I bet that's what's happened. The reviews for that car said basically if it went over a Coke can sat on its side, it would actually damage the vehicle, because it is basically a racing car in a domestic car's chassis. Basically, that's what the reviews were for. That's what that vehicle is: a racing car in a domestic vehicle chassis. Jeremy Clarkson specifically points out in his review regarding that Porsche GT, whatever it was called, GTX. It got very, very difficult, sensitive, temperamental to drive at such great speeds, but it could be done once mastered. But it was not for the novice. It was basically a vehicle which should only be driven at such speeds after great duress and practice, not something whilst just having a 5-minute break during a charity function, something to just jump in to do for 5 minutes just while the cameras were on it to get some publicity for your business, which is what's basically happened with Paul Walker. I just can't believe it. I just cannot believe this news. I just cannot believe it. I just cannot believe it. He had this confident way about him. You could respect someone. You knew he didn't smoke. You knew he didn't take drugs. You knew he didn't swear. In real life, you knew, didn't you? And look what's happened to him. Nice, healthy, boring, yes. But what a horrible thing to happen to such a lovely guy. Come to me, what I'm going to do is this. Fast 7. April 2015, the spring of 2015, so I've got to get my shit together here. I've been inspired to do this. But I've not seen, the only film I've seen in the series is Too Fast, Too Furious, as I have it on DVD. And he's just a boy. Oh God, he's dead and all that crap now. I'm only recently getting into films, right? The last 4 or 5 years. I've only just recently started getting into movies. And Paul Walker's films were one of the first, like, his films, right? Films he was in. I think it was Fast 5 was getting made when I started getting into movies of late. Okay, he's human with all human frailties, yeah? With all the frailties of a human being. He wasn't into drugs and smoking cigarettes and drinking every other night. You could tell he didn't have battles with his demons every 3rd hour of his life. He just didn't deserve to go in such a horrific way. Imagine how horrible is that? To have your dental records, to have your teeth compared to your dental records to identify you. Can you imagine what crimes you'd have to commit for that? To have that done to you? To have that done to you. I just can't believe it at all. I don't care who says whatever about his movies. I don't care what I think about his movies. I don't care. I just cannot believe he has died. I just cannot believe it. I just cannot believe it. I just cannot believe. I cannot absorb. I cannot fathom, quantify that news whatsoever. I just cannot believe it in the news, and I'm all ready to go to bed and all wound down for the night, and I just can't believe this. Into the Blue was one of my favourite guilty pleasures, movie he was in with Jessica Alba, and it's the only movie I have of his. It's on Blu-ray and it's a gorgeous transfer. It's great audio and visual wise. And that's all I ever liked him in. I never liked him in any. I've never seen any of the Fast and Furious movies. I've seen I've seen the 3rd one once, I think. The one he was in, one of the early ones which he was in, it was the one he starred in alongside the coloured geezer, yeah? The coloured guy who was in the 3rd Transformers film, that one. I've seen that one a few times, that movie, that one a few times. Other than that, it's only Into the Blue I've seen him in. But he looked really stable, Walker did, in real life. You could tell he was a normal family guy. You could just tell he didn't like to do any kind of drugs. You could see he was healthy looking. You could see it in his eyes, the whites in his eyes. You could see it in his teeth. You could tell by looking at him, his aura. Someone you could tell didn't even smoke cigarettes. You could tell he was at one with his demons. To have to be identified by his teeth. I can't handle it. I still can't accept it. I'm not going to do each film because it will just be too upsetting for me sporadically throughout this year, and possibly leave one for the spring, early spring next year. it's going to destroy me doing this. They're not going to be straight reviews for the movie, each movie. They're just not going to be. If I think I can manage to do the first one, it destroyed me, the Prelude. I'm just in complete shock while I just try and go to bed now in a state of complete shock. I'm just going to wake up in the morning and think I've just dreamt this whole thing. Okay, goodbye from the box. When I was 15, that poor girl, that poor girl, never mind his ex-partner, or current partner. Yeah, poor girl. She is at a time in her life now when she's going to need her father, need him, and this is going to happen. Yeah, this is going to happen. Whether or not it will help her grieve, because she'll have members of the public grieving who didn't even know him per se, grieving with her. Don't know, but Jeremy Clarkson said, I've seen the Top Gear review of that car that he died in, so it can be driven on domestic roads. It didn't break up when it got past 225 miles an hour, according to Jeremy Clarkson for Top Gear. It handled the friction, but the other side of that coin is that if you weren't able to handle it, then it would get the better of you. Yeah. It wouldn't pack in once it got to 225 miles an hour and tell you to slow down. It'd be able to handle those speeds, but if you, the driver, weren't able to handle it, then that's when the sensitivities came into play. Over and out. See you then. Lovely